So just like many of y'all, I have watched countless of productivity related videos on YouTube and I've read articles. I've just tried to be the most productive me that I can be. And I've tried every productive tip under the sun. Take breaks, start off with your most difficult task, start off with your most important task. Maybe you should start off with your mindless task. There's a lot of tips that contradict each other, mind you, but whatever. I set daily goals, I would plan for tomorrow. Whatever you can think of in terms of productivity tip, I have tried it and they have all failed. Kind of. It wasn't until I devised a proper formula made up of various productivity tips that I got them working for myself. And with this formula, I'm now able to maintain a consistent level of productivity week after week, which is something I've always wanted. The only thing is it's not as cut and dry as a squared plus b squared equals c squared, which is kind of why I had to make a whole video on the matter. But here it is. With Notion being the sponsor of this video, while I talk about my productivity formula, I would also like to share with you how I go about implementing it using Notion. And it's actually a really funny story in how Notion and I came to be. I hadn't heard about Notion up until just a couple months ago when my project manager, you may know him as Ken, but he's my project manager on this coding project that we're working on. I'm the software engineer on the project. And he said, we're going to manage the project in Notion. I said, what is Notion? So I decided to dive in. Since this is what he wanted to use, I figured, okay, I'll learn it. Well, let me tell you, I ended up liking it so much that I ended up moving everything from my video stuff to my own coding management projects to just some of my new business stuff in daily life into Notion. I used to use Trello and Jira and Google Calendar and Apple Notes. To be fair, I still use Apple Notes for some things, but I've replaced all of those other tools with Notion because not only can it do just as well, if not better than many of those tools, but I love the fact that it's all consolidated into one place. My life is crazy as it is. I don't need a dozen different apps holding all of this different information where I can have it consolidated all into one app being Notion. And not to harp on it too much, I know you want to learn about the productivity formula, but one of the big reasons why I've noticed that I like Notion, aside from the fact that everything is consolidated, is because it's like Linux is to Windows, whereas Windows operating system, you can get the work done that you need to get done. It's kind of plug and play, if you will. But for Linux, it can be plug and play, but I can also customize it any way I want. That's a big reason why I use Arch Linux, by the way, because Arch Linux is the most customizable distro that you can have. I can make the operating system exactly how I want it to fit me in my workflow. And that is exactly why I use Notion. It is just incredibly customizable, so I can make it fit however I want it to fit. I should also mention, so you don't get the wrong idea of it, in case you're unfamiliar with Notion, that it is also fairly easy to plug and play. But again, you're also able to customize it to your manner. That's all I'm going to talk about on that topic. Let's get into it, and I want to show you how I use Notion to implement my productivity formula while I explain to you and teach you about my productivity formula. I find the most important aspect is starting off figuring out when is the most productive time of day for you. That's what I started off with, and this is the time of day where you want to get your most important task done. For me, it is before lunch. When I eat a big lunch, I feel like it just slows me down a little bit, so I try to get the most important task done in the morning. And this would be planning or recording a particular video, because not only am I the most productive in the morning, but I also find myself being the most creative. So to start off this whole productivity formula, find your most productive time of day. But if I want to plan and record in the morning, I have to have some sort of precursor to that to understand what I need to plan and what I need to record. This all happens at the beginning of every single week. I understand what I need to get done that week, and I know for every single week I plan to upload one video, I plan to post to social media, and I plan to at least code a little bit, and then I plan to work on the new business. So I know those are the things that I need to get done every single week. And every single week is specific to what type of video, what type of coding. But there's a lot of moving parts here. There's so many different aspects of my life and different businesses and work going on. So what I do is I break those down into different categories. I have YouTube, I have coding, and I have new business. So what I need to do on a weekly basis, this is your typical breaking those things down into smaller tasks, but you must do it in a methodical way. I know that every single week I have these things to do, but I also have an understanding of how long each thing will take. So on YouTube, I'll typically spend around 3 days. On coding, I'll spend 1 to 2 days. And then on overall business things is another 1 to 2 days. And these may not be, I'm going to just do YouTube this whole entire day. I could be doing some YouTube this day, some coding this day, and some business today, kind of give myself a little break from the monotony of working on one thing all day. And there are also many caveats, and I stress this. I stress it because I want you to understand that there's no, okay, I need to spend exact amount of hours on these exact things, and that's going to be perfect. You need to be able to move around and adjust, because there are some caveats to what I just laid out in front of you. Not only the time difference that may happen, where maybe some weeks I'll spend 20 hours on YouTube, maybe other weeks I'll spend 40 hours, but on average it's around 24 hours. The other caveats being, sometimes I will do coding videos, many times I'll do coding videos, so those kind of overlap. When those overlap, I know that they overlap for that week, and I will adjust my schedule for that week. You see, there are always these caveats, these variables to how you work, and you need to take that into account. And at the end of most weeks, I find myself with about a day, maybe sometimes 2 days extra, because of how I set up my schedule. So I can pick these 2 days to code or work on more videos, or just kind of take care of some business stuff or accounting, or maybe I can take that day off. I have the leisure to choose what to do on those 2 days because I schedule my daily tasks in a very specific manner. It is not because I'm working so hard Monday through Wednesday that I get everything done for that week. It is because I schedule these tasks in a certain way. It's because each day I have free space. Every single day I make a timed checklist based on the categories that I laid out. So we took what we need to do that week, we have split them into groups, and now we are splitting them into what to do each day. So we're continually splitting these down into smaller and smaller tasks to where, hey, I can get this done in probably an hour. And I want to stress the fact that I call this a timed checklist, or just simply a checklist, because they're not goals. Goals are a desired outcome. And for me, I desire to get everything done for that week in an hour, but that's just not possible. I used to call these realistic goals, but even when I called them realistic goals, I found myself being over-optimistic. And when I was over-optimistic, I would pack my schedule full, and I really put myself at a disadvantage by making unrealistic goals in unrealistic time frames. It would cause me to fall behind, and when I fall behind, I get discouraged. And when I hit a certain level of discouragement, I would just give up. I would consider that day a throwaway day. I would stop working, and I would say, I'll just do better tomorrow. And the problem here is that for tomorrow, I would plan my day even more optimistic than the day before, because I would have to make up from the work that I failed to accomplish the day before, and then I wouldn't be able to accomplish that. It's just a vicious cycle that only the weekend could disrupt, because I would take a small break, I would look back on that week, and find out that I accomplished nothing. That week was basically a waste of a week because I was so overly optimistic that I got nothing done. So all of that to tell you, that is why I make an easily accomplishable timed checklist. This checklist is a way for me to break everything down even further, from the week to our categories to smaller tasks for each category. So for my YouTube category, I know I need to upload a video a week. Well, in order to accomplish that video, I have to plan the video, I have to film the video, I have to edit the video, and I have to upload the video. And I organize these in time frames of themselves. But in order to allow myself, I should say prevent myself from getting discouraged, I add a buffer. I add a room for error for any unforeseen circumstances. So if I think something's going to take me an hour, I give that time frame an hour and a half. Because if I want to record a video, I'm going to have to set up the camera. I'm going to have to transfer all of the files over to my computer. There may be something where I forget to hit record, or the mic's messed up and I have to re-record. So I want to give myself a little bit of extra time to prevent myself from falling behind. And the plus side here is not only to manage those unforeseen circumstances, but if I don't see any unforeseen circumstances where my mic messes up or this and that, I have 30 extra minutes. Because I allotted an hour and a half for something that actually took an hour, now I have 30 extra minutes to get ahead on the next task. Or no, that's typically what I would do, is I would get ahead on the next task. And I do my best to make a timed checklist preparing for the future. So they say plan ahead as many productivity tips. The way I do that, after I've broken everything down, I will sit down on a Sunday or Monday morning and I'll make the plan, the timed checklist for that day. So I'll say, okay, from 8 o'clock to 9:30, that's kind of when I'm going to wake up and just kind of do my morning routine, chill with some coffee, and then I'll get to work. Around 9:30, I will schedule everything for that day, and then I'll look ahead and I'll say, okay, well, if I get all this done today on Monday, then on Tuesday, this is what I can get done. And then I kind of make a loose schedule for Tuesday as well as for Wednesday. And these time checklists, you can think of them as just time frame between 8 o'clock and 6 o'clock. Sometimes it'll go all the way to like 9 p.m. for what I need to get done that day, and just time block them. So I do this looking 2 to 3 days ahead. I typically don't go past Wednesday, but I don't hold myself to that because things change. I may have gotten ahead on something, I may have fallen a little bit behind. So every single day I will reevaluate that day to see if I'm still consistent with what I had planned previously, and I'll just make any adjustments that I see and that I need to do. That's effectively my productivity formula, with the exception of one more point. It's something that I always keep in the back of my head, and I preach over and over again, especially for people with coding projects. It's just get started. When you will find yourself not wanting to do something, but you just get started, you say, okay, I'm going to do something simple for about the next 5 to 15 minutes, and then I can get up and go. You will see that 5 to 15 minutes turns into 50 minutes where you accomplished a lot, and that's all you needed to do is just get started. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you like videos like this. I have a lot of coding projects coming in the near future, and I'll see y'all next week when I set up the NAS server. I am reorganizing everything on my computer because the file structure right now is horrendous, and I have 4 operating systems spread across 2 physical machines, and I would like to centralize my data. I actually have it right here. So if you don't know what a NAS server is, it is this right here. This is a 6-bay. I am going to be putting in 4 10 terabyte hard drives into here, and this is powered by an AMD Ryzen processor, quad core. A lot of cool stuff in the near future, and this whole entire ordeal of organizing my file system on my computer, that is going to be the topic of next week's video. So again, if that interests you, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see y'all next week. Have a good day.